Hi everyone. The chapter that we are going to do today is judiciary. Something which you can relate when well you see at the picture. What are the contents that we are going to do today? Introduction, the role of the judiciary, what is an independent judiciary, and I hope you all know the meaning of being independent. What's the structure of courts in India? What are the different branches of the legal system, and does everyone have access to the courts? So beginning with the first question, that what is judiciary? So judiciary is that organization of the government that settles disputes through interpretation of law. Here interpretation means that you understand what the law wants to say, and dispute means that there is a fight, there is a conflict. And when does conflict happen? Conflict happens when there are two parties whose viewpoints are different. So that's the case when conflict arises. When these conflicts rose to a higher level, such issues are then taken to the courts where these settlements are done. It's an independent organization of the government, which I have discussed earlier also in the previous chapters, and by now you know that judiciary is not in the control of the government. It is a government organ, no doubt, but government has no control over it. Now the next question. Why do we need courts? I hope you are grown up enough to understand the function of the courts, which we have discussed. So you can very well relate to the fact that why do we need courts? But in India, we have the rule of law. Rule of law means that everybody is equal in the eyes of the law and that everybody should knock the door of the courts if they feel that their fundamental rights have been deteriorated or they have been exploited. So to enforce this rule of law, we need courts. It is an organ of the state like legislatures, similarly judiciaries also, and it plays a major role in the functioning of a democracy. What is the role? When I say that we need judiciary, so what do it do? Court takes decision on numerous issues which are not defined or are not clearly defined in laws. Example, they have decided that no teacher can beat a student. So nowadays, this is a rule in the school, though this rule has been beating someone is never a solution to a problem. If you are really angry, you need to give yourself some time, you need to sit down and you need to think. Maybe you can get a better solution, but when a person is really angry and loses its control, it becomes difficult for that person to think at that particular point of time. And when such situation happens in school, they know that student is not in a condition to defend himself or herself. So the easiest way that the teachers used to thought was like slapping a child. But then because of several parents' complaint which went to the court stating that we are sending our children to the school to get the education, and if this kind of atmosphere prevails in the school, then our children are not safe. Thinking about all these problems that were occurring, courts decided and passed a law that no teacher can beat a student. Sometimes a river that passes between two states, and those two states almost for most of the time of the year they face water shortage, then they may have the dispute regarding the water. And when there are two parties involved, what happens? This entire thing, the discussion is then taken to the court. They also punish people for particular crimes. Work of the judiciary. So when we have discussed that what do it do or what all it can do, what is under its control, we come up to certain points. We will sum up them as first, dispute resolution. So judiciary provides a mechanism for resolving disputes. Now who all it can interfere with is between the citizens and the government, between two state governments, and also between the center and the state government. Here center means the union government, the central government. Second work it does is judicial review. As I say that judiciary is the final interpreter of the constitution At times, whatever is written in the constitution may be beyond the understanding of the people. We may interpret it in a different manner, though it was written in a different manner. So there are sometimes statements which are really vague, because you will think it from your perspective and I will think it from my perspective, because it could be an open-ended statement. When such problem arises and when people are in a fix, they knock the door of the courts, and then it tries to understand and interpret what is written in the constitution. Finally, whatever it says, that through this line we'll understand that this is what it is written, and since that day we begin to treat it like that ways only. And that's the reason we say that the judiciary is the final interpreter of the constitution. It also has the power to strike down particular laws passed by the parliament if it is satisfied that there is a violation of the basic structure of the constitution, and this is called as judicial review. At times what happens, there are certain laws that are being passed. Later, when they actually become an act and we start following them, people may feel that this is in contradiction to their fundamental rights. No other authority has this power, but only the courts, especially the Supreme Court, only has this authority, that if there is something which has become a law but is against the fundamental rights of the citizen of any country, the court can call that law as null and void. Upholding the laws and enforcing the fundamental rights. Every citizen of India can approach to the Supreme Court or High Court if they think that their fundamental rights have been violated. I am an individual. I may practice, my family belongs to Hindu, my family is a Hindu family, and I don't want to practice Hindu dharam. I want to convert myself into a Christian because I love the way Christians dress, or I could have an inclination towards any particular religion. And as per my fundamental rights, I have all the rights to follow any religion of my choice. Now over here, if my parents, they torture me mentally, every day they are ill-treating me because I want to convert my religion, and if I feel like that my fundamental rights are being violated, I can anytime go and tell my problem to the people concerned. That means I can go and file a case in the court. So for each and every fundamental right, wherever you see that you are not being treated nicely, that you are being forced to practice a particular profession, for anything which is legal, you can go to the courts and you can file a case. Next is the advisory role. Sometimes it gives advice to the legislatives or the executives that how this work should be done. Also seeks their opinion on matters of public importance or questions related to law. When was Supreme Court established? It was established on 26 January 1950, the day India became a republic. It was earlier called as the Federal Court of India. It is earlier located in the Chamber of Prince in the Parliament House. Currently, it is located in Mathura Road, New Delhi in 1958.
To watch the complete video, download the UpBind educational app from Play Store and App Store.